Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 Origin Continent based on novel. So let's start. A massive creature with hundreds of slender appendages lay atop a source world, much like a small ant resting on an egg. It cautiously extended a sliver of power into the source world, fearing that too much commotion could slay the countless creatures within. Its power meticulously orchestrated disasters to absorb the fear emotion of these creatures. These source world creatures, though so weak, possess immense wisdom and intense emotions. It absorbed the fear emotions, integrating them into its life core. Previously, the innate primordial camp's invasion of the cultivator camp to seize source worlds was extremely barbaric, focusing mainly on devouring the source world origin. The value of countless source world creatures was only partially utilized, such as allowing Mogus to consume the souls of over 6 million source world creatures. In a war context, resource utilization efficiency was low. However, in the world groups within their own territory, every source world was utilized to its utmost resource limit. The emotions, desires, physical bodies, souls of source world creatures, these are all resources. The source world origin is the most precious resource and must be used most sparingly. No, nothing can resist it. I can create universes, yet still I cannot oppose disasters. Why? No. A universe group within the source world faced its ultimate catastrophe. After countless struggles and failures, it met its end in complete despair, utterly annihilated. And this universe group was merely the tip of the iceberg of the entire source world. Outside the source world, that massive creature waited patiently, intending to maximize the fear emotion of these creatures for optimal sustenance. Furthermore, it sought to sustainably consume, dividing the entire source world into multiple regions, leading each region in turn to be consumed, and once all regions were consumed, the first regions would begin to nurture new life, continually contributing power to it. My achievements allow me to enjoy the source world creatures for 100,000 epochs. But the source world's origin must not be touched. This world-level primordial understood this clearly. The source world's origin is usually the most valued food for the world-level primordial and even some ancestors. The world-level primordial was startled to see a black-clad man appear in front of it out of nowhere. Seeing the appearance of this black-clad man, it felt fear deep from within. Cultivator Lord. As a core member of their race, it received the attention of the ancestors, and knew about the most terrifying existences in the endless primordial space. The 8 cultivator lords were something their entire race dared not provoke. Whoosh! A ripple passed over this world-level primordial, immediately ending its vitality, and causing instantaneous death. At the moment of death, its physical life core remained intact. Yet there was not a trace of vitality left. Even Luo Feng's avatar, using only a 10,000th of his reserves, needed to take action to extinguish the world-level primordial. If it were his main battle avatar, a mere gaze could obliterate these world-level primordials. Luo Feng waved a hand to collect the world-level primordial's corpse. At his level, opening a space with a thought to store countless corpses was effortless. If Luo Feng wished, with slight effort, he could create world after world. The entire cultivator camp consisted of billions more worlds than the source world, all created by the lords. Mastering the highest level of the Tao, their Tao could easily become the origin of a world. However, the life nurtured by innumerable worlds had significantly less potential compared to that of the source world. This source world, Luo Feng gazed upon this source world, and with a single thought, a weak avatar manifested within. His avatar allowed the source world's rules to suppress it, restricting its power to the primal chaos realm's limit. If one resisted the source world rule suppression, violent conflicts, could easily trigger an energy storm capable of destroying all creatures within the source world. The same applied to those world-level primordial lives. When facing an ownerless source world, they could forcibly take action. They could even slowly absorb the source world origin. Inside the source world, Luo Feng's primal chaos realm-level avatar stood in a void, gazing at the distant universes. The interior of this source world has been deliberately destroyed. The central continent has long been shattered, giving birth to over 1 million primordial universes. Luo Feng observed that this source world lacked a core akin to the land of origin, consisting entirely of individual universes. The energy was too dispersed, easily nurturing over 1 million primordial universes, yet the creatures were generally very weak. The strongest creatures were only at the eternal true God level. And upon reaching the eternal true God level, they were soon faced with a crisis of death. 1 million primordial universes, all creatures, are merely food for the innate primordials. Luo Feng's gaze was icy. Luo Feng beckoned. A white-haired woman appeared beside him, vigilantly watching Luo Feng. "Who are you? Are you here to kill me?" she asked Luo Feng. "I know, once I take the final step, the crisis of death will soon arrive. But even in death, I want to know the truth." Luo Feng looked at her with admiration, praising, "You are exceptional." The white-haired woman remained extremely cautious. For she had risen from weakness step by step, experiencing too many terrifying events. Sometimes what seemed a surprise was actually a greater fear of despair. As her power grew, so did her sense of hopelessness, seeing no possibility of transcendence at all. An eternal true God, but with a spiritual will capable of reaching the threshold of a godly king. Luo Feng remarked with admiration, "When I was at the eternal true God stage, I was only like this." The white-haired woman looked at Luo Feng, silently listening. "Perform, just keep performing. I will never trust any surprise. Always consider the most terrifying possibilities when viewing all events. Your telepathy method is quite unique, severing the self-spirit. And you've done it 3 times in a row." Luo Feng glanced over, seeing all of the white-haired woman's life from birth till now, with complete clarity. Before him appeared the true body of the one called Eshu, who had also split out 3 avatars, her self-created, heart-cutting cultivation method allowing her to possess a godly king-level spiritual will even at the eternal true God stage. To know, her pain, her despair, her intensely strong emotions, could be absorbed by the core of the abyss of destruction, mountain of destruction, all are indescribably intense emotions. "Who are you?" The white-haired woman slightly frowned upon hearing someone see through her heart-cutting. "This source world is within the territory of the innate primordial camp. I can't always protect it." Luo Feng looked at her. This little girl Eshu was too cautious. So Luo Feng immediately sent an imperceptible wave affecting the woman. "You are excellent. So I will take you away, and I can help you take away a universe's creatures." The space opened by his weak avatar can at best carry away the creatures of one universe. Under Luo Feng's voice fluctuation, Eshu naturally trusted fully. She quickly chose a universe and also migrated some friends. Who? Soon, the primal chaos realm avatar of Luo Feng executed the secret technique, sending all the creatures of the source world through boundary-breaking transmission, delivered to the avatar outside the source world with 1/10,000th energy reserve. "Let's go." In Luo Feng's avatar's sleeve, there naturally opened a normal world to easily bear one universe's creatures. Luo Feng, carrying Eshu, flew away. Eshu firstly saw Luo Feng's robe sleeve could hold a primordial cosmos creature, and then saw them traversing countless space-times at an unimaginably fast speed. Luo Feng glanced at her, and a large amount of information instantly flooded into Eshu's mind. It was the situations of the cultivator camp and other camps, also allowing Eshu to understand the current circumstances. Your spiritual will has quite potential. Would you like to become my registered disciple, Luo Feng? Luo Feng looked at her. The disciple is willing, Eshu said, excitedly. Luo Feng nodded. Luo Feng's 3916 avatars were all moving, some fast, some slow. Those intense emotions absorbed by the mountain of destruction represented spiritually strong individuals. Unfortunately, many of these potential juniors were already dead, only their numerous clansmen still persevering. According to Luo Feng's estimate, this action might be able to recruit over 100 registered disciples. A serpentine great snake clung to a source world. It was indeed an infinite great serpent, slowly absorbing the source world origin. Having started absorbing the origin, the inside of the source world was already in ruin. This serpentine snake looked into the distance. In the distance appeared a silhouette of a man in black. Arrived late. Luo Feng slightly frowned. Taking less than 1 day to condense an avatar was still a bit late. Lord Luo Feng. This serpentine snake recognized Luo Feng and fearfully bowed its head slightly. Greetings to the great cultivator lord. Though it was a noble member of the innate primordial camp's largest race, Infinite Serpent clan member, when alone and encountering a cultivator lord, the only action was to be respectful, seeking a slim chance of survival. At this moment, the surrounding space-time seemed to solidify. All life chi mechanisms were locked. This snake could feel it wouldn't be able to transfer back to its home infinite world. The source of this content is novel fire.nt. Lord Luo Feng, I am from the infinite race. Whoosh! A ripple, the world-level primordial's infinite snake's eyes dimmed, its vitality severed. Who dares to kill my clan member? An enraged voice transmitted through distant space-time. Furthermore, space-time wave distortions twisted. At the other end of the twisted space-time, a massive silhouette resided within the infinite world. Luo Feng in black clothing looked over coldly. It is I. Luo Feng. That massive silhouette had intended to use the infinite world to descend across space-time, yet upon seeing that black-clothed silhouette, its heart trembled. That was Luo Feng. With just 3 strikes, severely injured Kafu ranked in the top 10. Power enough to suppress any ancestor of the innate primordial camp. The whole endless primordial space, known as one of the top-tier existences. Moreover, it wasn't long since he became a lord. His growth too ferocious. Lord Luo Feng, what's the reason? Why did you kill my infinite race clan member? The massive silhouette's voice softened considerably. Luo Feng coldly looked at him, already vexed by arriving slightly late, a weak ancestor still nagging at him. Are you questioning me for a reason? Luo Feng stared at it. The massive silhouette dared not argue further. Twisted spacetime returned to normal. A bunch of trash. Luo Feng's gaze was icy. In the innate primordial camp, only 5 were truly undying and undying. The other over 100 ancestors, all potentially mortal. My heart of destruction is still not strong enough. Luo Feng murmured. In a vast region, here, dazzling divine light illuminates everywhere, causing spacetime to collapse and twist into a gigantic spacetime maze. Inside this twisted spacetime maze, at the source of the dazzling divine light, there is an enormous figure with 8 hoofed feet and 16 multicolored eyes observing multiple spacetimes. He is Bawei Yu, a powerful existence ranked among the top 30 in the endless primordial space. Who killed my clan member? Bawei Yu sensed something, and an uncontrollable rage surged through him. For any tribe, a world-level primordial is considered a core member. A name on the ancestors' key focus list. Bawei Yu followed the sensation and gazed into the distance. In terms of void mastery, he is among the top ranks, and could immediately see the place where his clan member perished, where a man in black clothes with black hair was standing. Ba Wei Yu's heart trembled. Luo Feng. Ba Wei Yu instantly calmed down. Why did he kill my clan member? Ba Wei Yu was puzzled. His 16 eyes were watching that area from a distance, observing everything that happened in the past. He clearly saw his clan member devouring a source world origin, and encountered Luo Feng during the process. The moment Luo Feng descended, he annihilated that world-level primordial. Was it because my clan member was consuming the source world origin, so Luo Feng came to kill him? Ba Wei Yu pondered, but this is my clan's territory. These source worlds are food for my clan. Facing such fatal disaster for consuming food. These cultivator lords all originate from within the source world. They care about every single source world. Is that why they took out their anger on my clan member? But they have already occupied 3,600 world groups, and still not satisfied. Ba Wei Yu knew very well that the cultivator lords have been striving to expand their domain. From the beginning with just one lord, Yuan, as more lords emerged, the cultivated territory continuously grew. Now with Luo Feng, the newly advanced lord, who is terrifyingly powerful, has already ranked among the strongest in the endless primordial space. Do they want to expand their territory again? Ba Wei Yu pondered. If the death of a clan member had been at the hands of other ancestors, or other world-level primordials, Ba Wei Yu would not rest easily. However, since it was Luo Feng, the leader of the cultivator camp, who acted, Ba Wei Yu decided to turn a blind eye. No choice, as a weak force, Ba Wei Yu couldn't afford to provoke the cultivator camp. If the cultivator camp truly wants to expand its territory, the ones who will have the most trouble are the innate primordial camp and the ice peak camp. Ba Wei Yu thought, I'd better keep my distance. Such boldness, who dares to kill my clan member? The Thousand Eyes ancestor was shocked and angry. Being a friend of Silent Extinction ancestor, one of the 9 emperors, it held a considerable status within the innate primordial camp. Its clan only had a few dozen world-level primordials, each highly valued by it. In the vast territory under its command, there were also numerous world-level primordials from other races. If world-level primordials of other tribes perished, the Thousand Eyes ancestor could handle it calmly. But this time, the one who died was a world-level primordial of its own clan, naturally infuriating the Thousand Eyes ancestor. The Thousand Eyes ancestor followed the sensation and gazed from afar, wanting to see who dared to kill its clan member. Thus, it saw that black-haired, black-clothed figure. The enraged Thousand Eyes ancestor immediately calmed down. Luo Feng. The Thousand Eyes ancestor whispered, these cultivator lords are truly unscrupulous. It didn't dare seek trouble with Luo Feng and promptly informed its friend, Silent Extinction ancestor, of the news. The 9 emperors are the highest ruling echelon of the innate primordial camp. With 3,916 avatars, Luo Feng killed about 3,000 world-level primordials in a short time, around 500 from some weak forces, about 800 from the Ice Peak camp, and about 1,700 from the innate primordial camp. The weak forces endured it, as the losses, relatively speaking, were minor. What is this Luo Feng doing? The Ice Peak ancestor on the 20th floor of the Abyss of Destruction, originally waiting for Luo Feng's challenge, received the news that many of Luo Feng's avatars acted across various domains, annihilating quite a few world-level primordials. The death of around 800 world-level primordials did not concern the Ice Peak ancestor. After all, more than 90% of these world-level primordials were not the clan members of the ancestors. For one race to produce an ancestor is extremely difficult. In the endless primordial space, there are over 30,000 world-level primordial races, with barely over 200 ancestors. He's not solely targeting the Ice Peak camp, but all world-level primordials acting against Source World. The Ice Peak ancestor quickly discovered this fact. These lords are all very concerned about those source worlds. The Ice Peak Ancestor, annoyed. SS Oval, Re.nt. Whenever a cultivator lord is born, their power can stabilize within the top 20. Yet, each of them is undying and undying. It should be noted that out of the top 20, the cultivator camp occupies 8. Thankfully, the cultivator lords are not greatly covetous of resources, and do not frantically plunder numerous resources. This is also why the Ice Peak camp and the cultivator camp have historically had good relations. But as the cultivator camp continues to grow stronger and more lords emerge, the Ice Peak camp is also feeling the pressure. The innate primordial camp occupies the most expansive territory. Let the innate primordial camp and the cultivator camp fight. The Ice Peak Ancestor silently watched and endured. Killed nearly 1,700 of our world-level primordials. All encountered Luo Feng's avatars while acting against the source world. The infinite snake ancestor, having understood the situation, was also quite frustrated. It must be known that the cultivator camp has collected the bloodlines of all world-level primordial races. Over 30,000 races, 100% documented. Mostly achieved by the Starlight Lord. The Starlight Lord, in order to document the bloodlines, once caused great panic among all world-level primordials throughout the endless primordial space. Especially in some races that only have one world-level primordial. Even more terrified. This cultivator camp, in the end, will become a significant threat. The infinite snake ancestor last attempted to push the entire camp into a large-scale war, but it ended as Luo Feng broke through. Now, merely killing such a small number of world-level primordials. This won't even trigger a large-scale war. After all, as opposing camps, small-scale conflicts often occur under normal circumstances. Luo Feng's strength already rivals Starlight and Shoju. Even if 100 ancestors from our side join forces, we can't be sure of defeating the entire cultivator camp. The infinite snake ancestor was quite troubled. Unless we join forces with the Ice Peak camp. The infinite snake ancestor immediately rejected the idea. In terms of conflicts, the inherent conflict between the innate primordial camp and the Ice Peak camp is even greater. The cultivator camp only cares about the source world. They place far less importance on other resources. The Ice Peak camp, however, competes for all the resources needed by the innate primordials. The enmity between the two sides has lasted for endless ages. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Innate primordial camp territory. The black-clad, black-haired Luo Feng stood in the void, looking at a source world ahead. In his vision, the past history and past sufferings of this source world unfolded one by one. He saw that this source world once flourished, with myriad forms of life and the myriad clans vying for supremacy. Just like his hometown source world, there were also human-like clans and other races, all creatures within this source world. Their cultivation systems influenced and borrowed from each other, exploring as they progressed forward. Among them, Primal Chaos Realm had also been born. But afterward, a world-level primordial came. Everyone died, all the creatures of a source world perished. Luo Feng looked at the past of this source world. After becoming a lord, Luo Feng had long been able to see beyond the cultivator territory, to see numerous source worlds beyond the dominion, and to see the hardships those source worlds had endured. Every time, Luo Feng felt both angry and oppressed. Reason told him that only greater strength could change the situation. In the past, he was unwilling to watch for too long. Because it was indeed too tragic. Both the countless creatures inside the source world and the source world itself were mere food. The combined strength of the 8 lords was still insufficient to change it all. So, he couldn't bear to keep watching. But now, Luo Feng continued to watch. He even watched the histories of these source worlds, carefully observing every bit of suffering. As he watched, scenes of tragic and oppressive moments filled Luo Feng's heart, and his murderous intent within kept rising, the flames of his anger burning ever hotter. Luo Feng seemed to be forging a weapon, and this continuously accumulated murderous intent and anger were refining his heart. My heart of destruction is still not strong enough. During his first contact with the mountain of destruction in the hidden spacetime of the abyss of destruction, he was struck by endless murderous and hateful intent, and memories surged into his mind as if he were personally experiencing them. That incident triggered Luo Feng, intensifying his murderous intent. He seemed to transform into each sufferer, going through countless despair, filled with endless hatred towards those innate primordial lives. At that moment, Luo Feng realized he had found a path to forge his heart of destruction. His heart of destruction was indeed not strong enough. After all, he became the highest level life form in the endless primordial space, an immortal lord. He had also turned the tide of the cultivator camp's wars, protecting the 3600 world group. Most crucially, his hometown source world, with all those beloved friends and family that he cared deeply about, could all be revived from the rivers of time. Everything about his hometown source world was what he cared about the most. When they could all come back to life, Luo Feng was exuberantly happy, and with his heart filled with joy, his heart of destruction naturally became less intense. As for the countless source worlds beyond the cultivator territory, in the end, he was just a bystander. Though a bystander might be angry, it falls far from forging a heart of destruction. Only upon touching that mountain of destruction did he truly feel that it was a personal experience, which truly stimulated Luo Feng. The origin continent origin world is the most important to me, the place where I guard with my life. But outside the origin continent origin world, in what way are other source worlds different? They are all the same source world creatures. Because my strength is not enough, I cannot protect the innumerable source worlds beyond the territory. In the future, if my strength is not enough, even the 3600 world group could be flattened. Luo Feng understood this well, because not long ago, had he not broken through, the innate primordial camp might have achieved their goal, flattening the entire cultivator territory. If the 3600 world group is flattened, could my hometown source world survive alone? The endless primordial space has never been a safe haven. The cultivator camp is also in competition with other camps, and those ancestral beings are more numerous, and can give rise to some extremely powerful existences as well. All parties are competing. If we do not advance, we retreat. If satisfied with the current strength, someday in the future, should a potent individual master the highest level mysterious land and flatten the cultivated territory with invincible power, annihilating the hometown source worlds of all lords. Even if I am immortal, what then? If my hometown source world is destroyed and all beloved friends and family are gone, for me, it would be endless torment. With blood and fire, eliminate all enemies. With endless destruction, protect the lives of the clan. Luo Feng's 3916 avatars walk through different territories, observing source worlds one by one, watching all that happened in the past. Those scenes of suffering told Luo Feng, if the heart of destruction is not heavy enough, I cannot protect what I wish to protect. Numerous source worlds had experienced suffering in the long years past, devoutly watched by Luo Feng, as every bit of suffering was etched deeply into his mind. These sufferings seemed like pieces of firewood, fueling the fire in Luo Feng's heart to burn ever brighter, and this fire was refining Luo Feng's heart of destruction. And in the hidden spacetime of the destruction mountain, Luo Feng also sent down an avatar. The avatar sat cross-legged next to the destruction mountain, occasionally reaching out to touch it, feeling that endless murderous and hateful intent, as if becoming a creature that died with endless grievances, experiencing everything they had once gone through. This video will end here.